This SID Select now identifies as a Raceday. Well, it was either that or a cat, I guess. I don't know. Hey folks, we're back again with another video, and today we're going to be working on a RockShox SID Select RL-C1 chassis fork. But this RL or Select fork has a Raceday damper in it. The original damper that came with this fork had an issue. It was sent in to get repaired, but it was returned with a whole different damper, a Raceday damper. So for those of you that have this one, most of this service will apply. The lowers definitely apply, the air spring apply. Unfortunately, the damper side, unless you have that Raceday upgrade, it's not going to really apply. It depends actually on which actual damper you have, because they make so many different dampers for these SIDs. This Raceday, the only thing you could do is bleed it. There's not that much else. There's no replacement parts. So again, most of it will apply as far as the video goes if you're looking to service your fork, okay? Super easy job. No reason any of you guys who own this fork shouldn't service it. You want this fork to perform, regularly do the 50-hour service on this thing. This thing loves fresh grease. It runs real good off a 50-hour service, okay? And as you will see, it's a no-brainer. In fact, this whole thing is a no-brainer. There's really not that many tools needed, and it doesn't take all that much time once you get used to it. All right, so with all that being said, let's get into the tools and the parts needed for the job. I'm going to break out the tools into 3 sections. Your 50-hour, in case you just want to do that only, air spring, and damper. No matter the section, the most important tool right here, safety glasses. Wear your safety glasses. So, order of use, let's start off with the 50-hour. First, we're going to need a pen, pad, pencil pad, and an air pump in order to write down your existing settings. Rebound, low speed compression if you have it, and your air. At the same time, we are going to remove all the air using the air pump from the shock slowly. From there, we're going to take out the bolts on the bottom. You are going to need a ratchet with an extension on it because the bolts are deep. For the Raceday damper, we need a 10mm socket. For most other dampers, you're going to need a 5mm socket. For the air spring, you're going to need a 5mm Allen socket, again with the extension. Only for the air side do we need a mallet, in this case, to tap the shaft away from the lower leg. The damper side is actually separated no matter what, is held on with a nut as opposed to a bolt. Then we have removed the lower from the upper. You're going to need an oil pan for oil to go into. Then once we get into the oil, we're going to need a pick to take out the foam ring. We need something to remove the wipers. I use this tire lever tool from Ice Tools. Really does a great job removing wipers without doing any damage to the lowers. From there, we're going to clean the lowers, right? I have my little technique over here where I use a dowel, paper towel, alcohol, and a rubber band. I'll show you that later. You need a little cup to soak your foam rings so they get saturated in oil while we're doing all this. Then we're going to put everything back together. We want to put the wipers back in. We're going to need a wiper installation tool, 35mm in this case for this particular SID. Then we're going to want to, after we assemble everything, we need to put oil back into the lowers. You need a syringe with at least 10mm per side in this case, and a torque wrench to torque everything down. Let's go into the air spring tools. As for the air spring, not many tools needed. First, we're going to start off with a cassette tool in order to remove the top cap. Then we need a retaining clip plier to remove the retaining clip in order to be able to remove the air spring. To remove the air spring, I put together this tool that I always use. It's an M8 bolt with fender washers, not lock washers. It really helps with removing air springs, especially when they have negative pressure inside them still. A dull pick or a plastic pick in order to remove seals from around the piston head, a syringe with at least 3 milliliters of fluid space, so we could put, I do 4 milliliters, but so we could put oil into the air spring bottom. I put it on the bottom, but you definitely want to put it on the top. A torque wrench in order to torque down the top cap, a dowel in order to clean out the upper tube on the inside with alcohol and towel. Next up, the damper. For starters, we're going to need to remove the remote. In my case, it's going to be a 2mm. In fact, in just about every case, you're going to need a 2mm Allen. From there, we're going to need to remove the damper. We need a 24 millimeter chamferless flat socket in this damper. Other dampers, all you need is the cassette tool, but for the Raceday, we need a chamferless damper with a ratchet. Now, you have two options. Technically, you don't need a vise to bleed the damper. You really don't. But since I'm targeting this to people who are just getting into this and want to learn it, I highly recommend you do it with a vise. It's going to make your life a lot easier. For a vise, you need a soft jaw with around a 14 millimeter opening in order to hold the damper body comfortably, okay? Something that's roundish that gives you more flexibility. Like if you had a roundish, even a 12 millimeter, that's pushing it, but around 14 millimeter, you'll be good. Then we want to take out the bleed screw. Why RockShox? A T10 Torx. I have nothing against Torx, man. I just wish there was consistency. T10 Torx bit to take out the bleed screw. Then we're going to empty out the old oil. You need a pan for the old oil, and then we're going to bleed. To bleed, we need a syringe with a bleed tip. This is a regular RockShox SRAM syringe that they use for their brakes. Do not mix dot fluid with any other oil. If you're using one of these things for your dot fluid, make sure you absolutely clean it well, or else just get another one. These things are pretty cheap, okay? Torque wrench in order to torque down the cap at the end of it. You're going to need a dowel to clean the upper tube with alcohol and towels. That's pretty much it for the tools. Let's go into the parts and oils needed for the job. As for parts and oils, so this is a SID RL C1 chassis, and that's the important number, C1. So I need part number 00.4318.025.211. Now, this is good for a C1 and a D1. It has all the parts needed. If you have a Gen C chassis, then you're going to need part number 00.4318.025.217. So make sure you know which chassis you have before you order your kit, because they make multiple versions of SIDs, and there's multiple seal kits, okay? Damper side, again, this isn't the stock damper in this particular fork. I have the Raceday damper. Can't do anything with that damper. All I could do with it is change the oils. 3-weight oil is what we're going to be needing for this particular damper, but there's other dampers, SID fork dampers, that need 7-weight oil, so make sure you know which damper you have. For the lowers, we have our option. We could either go with 0W30 or Maxima Plush Heavy. I'm going to go with the 0W30, only to slowly chip away at this bottle. That's a new bottle. Empty that one out first before we open up another one. Grease, SRAM butter, that's personally what I prefer over dynamic grease, so I'm going to be going with SRAM butter on this one. Next up, let's open up a fork. As always, prior to opening up a fork, we need to make sure it is clean. Make sure that there's no mud or dirt stuck in the steer tube, in the back of the crown, behind the wipers here, and in these SIDs, especially inside the lower fork boots, okay? Because these are real deep. Dirt could get trapped in there. We do not want dirt falling inside after we close this thing up at the end, okay? So first things first, we're going to write down our existing settings. And I'm going to start off with the rebound. This is a Raceday damper. It literally has its own Allen key for a rebound, right? So I'm just going to turn it towards the rabbit, counterclockwise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 10. 10 clicks. Then we are going to take the air pressure, take off the air cap, put it on, playing air hockey here, put it on the side. Take our shock pump, put them in. 85.5, 86. We lose a little bit, so I would say probably 88, 89. So let's say 89 for starters. Now we are going to release all the air slowly. Make sure we release it slowly. We want both sides to release if possible. Give it a hand. Okay. Now this fork, or at least the Raceday damper, does not have a low speed compression. It only has a high speed, so we're your option is on or off. Counterclockwise all the way is fully open. We want it in the fully open position. Next, we will double check that we are all done with the air before we open it up. To double check the air, we're going to grab an Allen key, 3, 4, 5 millimeter, anything that fits really inside the Schrader valve so we can press it down. And we're going to press down the whole fork while we're pressing down on the valve. All right, now what you can do, even though over here really is not as important because we already took out most of the air, is put a little cloth towel just in case oil mist comes out. You don't want to breathe that. So what we're going to do is we're going to push it all the way down. We're going to let go. Let it go up, push it all the way down, just do it twice. And that's it. To open them up, we have to take off the bolts. So this is a Raceday Damper. It has its own unique Allen key knob. Yours probably will have a regular rebound knob, okay? They do this to save weight. So the rebound side needs a 10 millimeter socket, okay? We're gonna take it and loosen it. Now, with the socket, we don't have to tap it apart. This is going to be a bolt, so don't try and tap it with a hammer, all right, whenever there's a socket, because, well, you could do damage. We just want to take out the bolt. There we are, or a nut, I should say. So that's our nut. Now, should be a crush washer in there. That tells me, yep, crush washer stuck inside. No worries, it'll come out when we separate it. Take the nut, put it on the side. Okay. Now, for the air spring side, that's typical. 5 millimeter Allen. Chances are, with other dampers, it's going to be a 5 millimeter Allen as well. But again, this is a Raceday Damper. So 5 millimeter Allen, put it in there. There we go. 3 full turns. Okay. And we tap them. There we go. I heard the air separate. So that means or heard air come out. That means it's separated. All right. So now we want to take out the bolt. So remember, when it has a nut, you don't tap it. When it has a bolt, you tap it for RockShox. And there's our bolt. Crush washers on the bottom, put them on the side. Next, we separate them. To separate them, we put them in our oil pan, grab a good grip on the crown, and, well, on both crowns, and we're going to separate them. You might have to sort of split them apart, right? So give it a good jolt. There we go. Yep, the crush washer was holding it. There is the crush washer, okay? That's garbage. We don't need it. Now we're going to let this stuff sit in here. And, well, again, technically, this is supposed, oh, there's a little bit of oil. I don't know, not much oil in there at all. Holy cow. There's a little bit on this side. It's sort of trapped in there. But one thing to note is we do have on the air spring side a bumper. There we go. So turn it upside down, remove your bumper. I'm going to let this stuff sit in here for a bit just to drain out, and we will be back to clean up the inside of the boot. Before we work on the lower, let's clean the upper, get rid of all the grease. So this way, while it's sitting down wherever you put it, it won't spill grease everywhere. One area where you want to put a towel while you're just putting it on the side is here, because whatever oil's inside will slowly leak out. And then we can take this guy and put him on the side. And now we have our lower. So for starters, what we want to do is take out our foam ring. That's done for. And that one is done for. Next, we want to take out our wiper. So this might be a little bit tricky for me. In fact, it's a very slippery surface. Let's just make life easier for me. Put them here. I'm going to grab my Ice Tools tire lever, right? Take him. Again, sometimes he's hard on. There we go. That's one. We're going to be replacing him. Now, you technically can save these. If you save them, do not try and remove them with the springs on. remove the springs, then take it out, okay? Because you could damage it. But we're going to be changing all that stuff. Next, we start cleaning the inside. To clean the inside, I have my little ritual. So first I start off with blocking the hole at the bottom. Okay, if you can't reach it, try and put something in between your finger and the hole. These could be a little bit tough to reach actually, right? And then I'm going to fill up, put a good amount, generous amount of alcohol in it and start shaking to loosen up the old oil. I'm going to break down the old oil so it's easier to wipe out later. All right. It's one time. Let's do that again. Shake it really good. Get that oil everywhere in there. All right, this time we'll let it go on the bottom. Now, doing the damper side first, right? So I got my little ritual over here. Some people think it's excessive, but they could do it their own way. Loosely wrap the towel, not tightly, loosely wrap it. Put a rubber band around the middle. Tear some of the edges to get some mopping action. Put it inside. Let it make it all the way down to the bottom. Soak up everything that's at the bottom. Let it sit there for a bit. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna put a little bit more alcohol in there. There we go. Okay, that's looking good actually. So that's once. Take this guy up, and we're going to do him again. Same loosely wrap towel. Take the rubber band. Oops, make sure you got about 1.5 inches on top. Okay, tear it up. Get a little mopping action. Put some alcohol in there. Stuff this guy in here. Let him sit at the bottom. Let him soak up everything from the corners, from everywhere. All right. Now, I'm not going to do the other side. It's the exact same procedure, but for this leg over here. All right. I'm going to get the other leg done, and I will be back. All right, we cleaned both sides. Everything's spotless inside. I also cleaned my stopper, my bumper over here. Now we inspect the bushings. There's 2 sets of bushings, one here, one set here, and another set around here, right? And all we're looking for is to see if there's any kind of scratching, abrasions, rubbing. Nothing. These are looking real good. This one actually has some marks on the bottom over here. Yep, actually on the top over here too. Nothing to like freak out over. Actually on this side it looks like it has a scratch. It definitely has a scratch. I don't know if you guys can see that, but right here on the inside there is absolutely a scratch going on an angle. So that means a piece of dirt probably got trapped in there. That's why you got to keep our stuff clean. Not the end of the world, but not exactly a good thing. So still got lots of miles left to say the least though. So with that being the case, we're done with the lowers for now. We have one more thing we're going to do before we move on. And that is we're going to go into our wiper packet, right? Lower leg, 35mm. We're going to grab our foam rings, not the sag ring. And we're going to let them saturate in oil while we're working on the rest of the fork. Okay, put a little bit of extra because I'm going to use it at the end. Tuck them in there. Make sure it's sitting at the bottom. Take them. We're going to cover them to make sure we don't spill them, and we're done. Next up, we move on to the air spring. First step on the air spring is to remove the cap. So cassette tool. Get it in there. They don't give us all that much room. It's going to be a little bit stiff. But we should be able to get it. Oh, there we go. Oh. All right, getting easier. Should be able to do the rest by hand. If not, complete pull it out. Jeez, much more is in there. What the? Come on. There we go. No tokens in this one. Put this guy on the side. Now, turn him the other way around. Bumper. Put him on the side. Next, we remove the shaft. To remove the shaft and the whole air spring, first, we need our retaining ring plier. Man, this guy's got like serious negative pressure. We're going to grab our retaining ring plier, put them on the two holes, squeeze them together, be careful. Put them on the side. This guy is not going to be easy to remove, hence why I have this tool. This is an M8 bolt, fender washers, for this very reason. This guy shouldn't be all the way up here. He should be somewhere down here. So I'm going to screw this guy in all the way. Now I want to get ready to pull because this is going to be a good pull. All right. There we go. Now that's negative pressure. And that is our air spring. Next, we clean them up. Actually, we'll start off with cleaning up the tube. To clean out the tube, grab some alcohol, spray them in there. All right. Paper towel, roll them up in a ball. Lots of edges, put them in here. Stick them in, make sure he's tight in there. Don't make sure he's not like loose in there. And then we grab our dowel and we force him through, bottom to the top. Clean the threads. First one's always going to be the gooeyest. Put them on the side. Repeat. Dowel. And this one should be less gooey. Make sure you get these little areas in here. We don't want any dirt sitting around that's going to fall in after when we try and close them up. Clean the threads good. See what I mean? Now we inspect them. This side's important. You don't want any scratches on this side. Any kind of scratches on this side, he's pretty much done. Air will get through every time he goes up and down. He is perfect. Not one scratch. Not sure if you can see that, but excellent condition. Now let's move on to the air spring. As for the air spring, first thing we're going to do, we're going to clean up all the old oil, grease. So we can stop making a mess all over the place. I just get in there, get all that heavy grease out. I use Shram butter in the last service, I'll tell you that much. Okay, now I'll take off my little tool, put them on the side. Seal head. See, this one separates. Sometimes they don't. Just put them on the side just like that. Now, we want, hey, there it is. I'm going to remove this seal first. Okay. Debonair C30 SID 35C1. Take him out of his packet. I'm going to put seals in order. 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's going to be the outside. That's going to be with that guy. So, took this guy out. Clean the seat on the inside. Clean the rest of it down good. Shram butter. Put a good amount of butter on the seat on the inside. Now, we took out a quad ring. That's the replacement quad ring. When you put the new quad ring in, make sure he is not twisted. So look all around him, always double check. And he is not twisted. This guy goes on the side. Then we got our 2 O-rings, one on the inside over here, small one. Okay. And a larger one on the outside. And this should be our larger one. Bring these guys here. Clean our seal head. Get all that old grease from the bottom out. Clean inside the seats. Grab a clean one. Let's put him inside. And let's see if we could try and at least clean. See what I mean? Bit of dirt or old grease on the inside. And now we put our new O-rings back on. That's going to bug me. Talk about OCD now. Oof. There we go. There we go. Cool. Now, first let's start off with a small one. Take a good dollop of grease, put it on the seat on the inside. And grab our small O-ring, cover them with grease, squeeze them, tuck them in. Put this guy on one side, the top side, and his seat, just like that, right? And we just push him down the opposite side. If not, pick him up. Push him down, pick him up, whatever works best. There we go. And he is in. Take some grease, put on the seat on the inside. Put this bigger O-ring on. And we are ready to put it back together. To put them back together, let's just separate this guy. Clean him up a little bit. All right, you don't have to go too crazy cleaning him. Grab some grease, put it on the shaft. Slide this guy open area facing down, and then we take the bumper and we put them in. Right? Take our seal head, flat part down, just like that. All right. Now our last seal over here on our cap. Clean the seat real well. Grab your fingernails on the edge. Just take out any possible dirt that might be stuck there. Right. Grab the new one. Put a little bit of grease on it. And from the bottom on the top. Now we put them back in the fork. Before we put them in, a little bit of prep. Grab our syringe. Grab our cup that has foam rings soaking. Fill up the syringe to 4 milliliters. All right, let's just prep. I'm gonna leave this guy on the side for now. Then take my tool. Oops, before we put the tool in, one thing we need to do is make sure that the threads are free of grease inside. All right, so don't forget that. I probably should have done it before, after I put in these guys. Some grease gets trapped in there, so, but we are good. Now I can put my tool. Okay. Now, grab a little bit of grease. Not too much. Coat the inside as deep as you can. Coat it real well. All right. Now, put a good amount of grease on the head. Be generous here. be generous here too. All right. There we go. Act generous all around. All right, so we got a lot of grease. Now, this is optional. Technically, they don't mention it. I like putting a little bit of oil on my air spring. In this case, where I'm going to put it is right in here, about 1 milliliter all the way around. Not much. Okay. Then we're going to push this guy all the way up. All right. Now what we're going to do, make sure he's all the way up. Okay. We always want to make sure that this is as high as possible to the top of the piston. We're going to roll him in. Now he's going to be a little bit stiff. Okay. Roll him in. Hard to do without using my body, but to help. Okay. There we go. That's one. There we go. Make sure he's all the way in. Make sure this shaft's all the way out. All right. So it takes care of that. Let's wipe the excess grease, since out here it won't be of any use to us. Then, retaining ring. We have a rounded side. We have a flat side. Put the rounded side up, the flat side down. And yeah. Oh, well, I got my tool over here. All right, so we're going to take this guy, put him in, rotate him, and he is in. Now, let's finish up the top. To finish up the top, we're going to take the remaining of our oil in our syringe and put them inside. Squeeze them inside. We're going to take our cap, put them by hand. Always by hand first. Match it. Make sure he's in the right position. Torque wrench, 28 Newton meters. Side. Make sure he's straight. There we go. 28.5. He's all good. No negative pressure whatsoever. What we can do, you want to be a little bit more detailed about it, just put a little bit of air in them now, just to protect them. I should start doing this in all of my videos. All right, we're not going to put much, literally like 20 pounds. There we go. Done. All right. Our air spring is finito. Clean it up so we don't get any excess grease anywhere. And we are ready to move on to our damper. Actually, before we move on our damper, let's not forget our bumper. Tapered side upwards, flat side at the bottom. All right. Now we can move on to the damper. Before we move on to the damper, if any of you guys find this video helpful or you like it in general, please click the like button right down there. It would be much appreciated. It will really help the video get out there to more people. All right. So first we're going to take off our little piece of towel, that paper towel that we put in there, because all that oil would have spilt somewhere where you put this thing while we were working on the air spring. All right. Now, this is a Raceday damper, and it has the simplest knob in the world. In my case, all I need is a 2 millimeter, but chances are you're going to have a regular knob. You're also most likely going to need a 2 millimeter. Okay. Don't remove it. Just loosen it enough to pick them up and pull them out. Maybe I should have loosened them just a little bit more. There we go. That should do it. Huh, why aren't you not coming out? There you go. All right, take him, put him on the side. Now we remove the damper, the whole unit, right? 24 millimeter chamferless flat socket. Make sure it's flat. Make sure it's not beveled. If you have a beveled one, figure out a way to flatten it if you can't find a flat one. But you can find these pretty cheap everywhere, really. Make sure this guy is on the open position. Okay. Be careful here. There we go. That's why you want a flat, because doing this with a chamfer, too easy to strip this head with a non-chamfered or with a beveled socket. Keep my hand so I can. All right. There we go. A little bulge. And that's our entire damper assembly. Simplest dampers in the world. There's literally nothing you could do to this guy outside of bleed him. Before we bleed him, might as well clean the tube inside. For alcohol, paper towel, punch him in a ball. Nice tight ball, push him through. And he had a good amount of dirt on him. All right. Make sure the threads are clean. Well, he could use one more inside. Well, this side, it doesn't matter if there's scratches on them. Chances are there should never be a scratch on them because nothing actually touches the sides. So, through, make sure we got all that old oil out of there. Now we are clean. Right, again, make sure the threads are clean. Then we're going to take them and we're going to put them on the side and start bleeding this guy. And now for the bleed. So we took the damper out of the fork. We clean the outside, right? Just so you don't make a mess more than anything around you. Okay, clean it best you can. Two options here. To bleed it, technically, you don't need a vise and a soft jaw. You could do this in the air. If you're really experienced, then just do it in the air without it. But considering I target these videos for people who are just getting into projects like this, I highly recommend you use a vise and a soft jaw. It's going to make your life much, much simpler, okay? So your option. As far as a soft jaw, around a 14 millimeter oval or hole will fit. We do not want to clamp it outside of this area here, right? So, or even a flat soft jaw will work, or a soft jaw is a poly soft jaw. We do not want to put a lot of pressure down on this. We're just stopping it from moving around, right? So light force is all that's needed. We're doing nothing more than bleeding over here. We're not screwing anything in, right? So just very light force with the soft jaw. Okay, so let's get started with the bleed. For starters, we have a bleed screw. We're going to grab our T10, put it in the bleed screw. Be careful, oil might want to pop out. There it is. And we're going to empty out the old oil. There we go. And we just empty it out just like that. Make sure you empty it all out. All right. Cool. Now we're going to take them, we're going to put them in our vise, soft jaw, and again, just very light force. We're not putting pressure on this thing. We just don't want it to move around, okay? Next, let's prep the syringe. To prep the syringe, we're going to take our 3-weight oil. We're going to put our syringe in there, and we're going to slowly suck oil in. Do this slowly. All right, so suck in a little bit at first, just a little bit. Let the air bubbles inside go to the top. Help them, they stick to the sides. Just give them a minute to go to the top. Then when they go to the top, what we're going to do is suck in any oil that's in the hose. Then we're going to press up, make sure you have a cloth on top. We're going to press up and remove all the air from the syringe. just like that, okay? Then we're gonna put them back in, press them down a little bit, and now slowly suck them up. Slowly suck them up. Don't do this quick. All right, and basically 3/4 or even more. All right, now we have a syringe filled with oil. We just got that one little bubble, which is irrelevant. We're going to take our syringe and we are going to put it in the damper. It's a little bit too loose, it's spinning. We don't want it to spin is all it is. Now make sure your connections are tight, right? This one here and the one on the bottom. Now, close this guy before an accident happens and we spill them. Put them on the side. And trust me, that's from experience. So the trick to this bleed is patience, okay? We need to remove all the air that's inside the system right now and replace it with oil. There's gonna be a lot of aerating. So we wanna take our time and ultimately we wanna let bubbles lift to the top, okay? So the more time you give it to lift to the top, the better off you're gonna be, the shorter the bleed's gonna be, because this could be a pretty long bleed actually. So now we have our damper rod or shaft at the bottom, right? I got it all the way at the top, okay? Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push the syringe down, right, using my thumb. And I'm gonna force in, hopefully you see that well, oil, okay? Now I'm gonna let go and air is gonna come out. All right? Lots of air. In fact, do it slowly, because if you do it, the faster you do it, the more air rates, the longer this is going to take. So always do it slowly. I'm just using my wrong hand because of the camera over here, so it feels a little bit odd for me. All right. So now we're going to take our shaft went all the way to the bottom. We're going to pick it up. More air is going to come out. Right. There we go. We're sucking even more air now. We're vacuuming it. Okay, we got our shaft all the way up. Let's push down. Okay, hold it. Let go and let it vacuum up air. All right. Now, let the shaft go all the way down. Now bring the shaft up and let the air bubbles go into the syringe. Okay. See, there's air bubbles coming out. Let them go into the syringe. There's another little one. There's another one. Now slowly lift your thumb so we get suction or vacuum to bring out even more air bubbles. All right. Okay. Now again, press down and up. The shaft is all the way up at the moment. Press down, press up. And let the air bubbles come to the top before you press down again. Whatever you see, let it come up. Now let go of the shaft, let it go all the way down. Now press the shaft up. And now let go slowly your thumb from the syringe. Okay. Looking better, less and less bubbles each and every time. Let's do it again. Bring up the shaft. Slowly bring up the syringe. Sometimes a little bit hard because it sticks. There's another little bubble, a couple of bubbles there. Let them go. Always make sure they go to the top before you press back in, right? And always check your syringe to make sure there's no bubbles floating around that you're just going to be putting in there all over again, right? So press down again. Let the shaft go down. Bring the shaft up. Shaft down. Shaft up. All right. Let the bubbles in here settle. Like I said, the patience here is letting the bubbles settle, allowing them to go to the top. All right. And we're going to keep on repeating this until we barely see any bubbles. Okay. Hopefully you can see that well. See what I mean? Don't suck it too fast or else you'll suck bubbles down from the top. That's the patience over here that's needed. let this empty out from bubbles. I can't twist it all that much, but ultimately there's bubbles floating around the top. Okay, squeeze the bladder. This helps. Now, back down. Squeeze the bladder. Back down. Squeeze the bladder. And try and squeeze the bladder from the bottom up, right? Back down. Squeeze the bladder. Back down. Squeeze the bladder. And let the bubbles come up. All right, now, again, with the syringe. With the shaft. Let the shaft push everything up. Let the bubbles dissipate. I'm pretty sure the camera's going to overheat in a bit. I'm amazed it hasn't already. Okay. So now we're looking not all that bad. Look at this. Oh, see the little micro bubble in there? Let this empty out. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to fill up the system for now. Let the shaft extend all the way. Put pressure on the bladder. Use your fist to empty it, right, from the bottom up. Let the bubbles empty. There was a little bubble in there. Might as well get it now. And now what we're going to do, come on, get in there. Get up, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. I don't feel like having you go back in. There you go. Now we're going to fill up the bladder, right? Make sure your shaft's all the way down. Fill up the bladder and let go. Okay? So, what we're going to do, we're going to take out our syringe. You might want a piece of cloth over here because it might have, sometimes it has a tendency to burst from pressure. But right now we should be pretty good. There we go. Okay. So what we're going to do again, we're going to empty out all that airspace from in our syringe. All right. So once again, just suck in slowly, a little bit of oil, turn it upside down, suck in whatever's left. Make sure all the bubbles are at the top. See, it's a little bit aerated. So now push up and make sure there's no major air in here. There will be little bubbles, but it's okay. We'll let them sit there for a bit. In fact, might as well just soak this in. Well, that was dumb. Let me do it again. Okay. There we go. Put them back in here. Fill them up just a little bit. We don't need that much more anymore. No more than halfway is needed. That's way more than enough. Okay, close this guy up. And we're going to put him back in. I'm going to let the camera cool off first. All right, I moved the camera a little bit for this next step. So we took all the air out of our syringe. Just watch out for these bubbles that are still in there, little ones, right? These were aerated already. They made it to the top. We're going to take our syringe. We're going to put it back in. Make sure all your joints are tight, right? Now, don't push down. Push the shaft up to get the bubbles that are probably at the tip over here out. Oop, there was a little one. Okay, so now we're going to do the exact same thing all over again, except this time we got more vacuum in our syringe. Okay, whoop, there goes a little bubble. Now we're looking for really small bubbles, right? And let them all go to the top. Really small ones. Hopefully you can see that well. Not exactly the best position, but there's a reason I did this, so you guys can see the shaft for what I'm about to do in a bit. Okay. There you go. Let the bubbles go to the top. We're looking for micro bubbles now. All those will accumulate into bigger bubbles, so we want to get rid of as many as we can. And remember, when we squeeze from the bottom up on the bladder, right? See what I mean by those little bubbles? Oh, there you go. Wow, I just got me a few over there. Okay, I'll go to the top. Look at that. Now that we have more vacuum in the oil, we're able to suck out even more. And just repeat until you get to a point where you don't see any bubbles. This could take a minute, 2 minutes. Just slowly go up and down. And just make sure you let these bubbles go to the top. Anything that you see, let it go to the top. Pull up the plunger a little bit to give it some vacuum to help them come up. Like that one here, I'm just going to pull the plunger just a little bit, and there it goes in there now, right? And now we have to wait for it to go to the top. That's the patience, guys. You just need that patience over here, and it'll turn a 10-minute job. If you don't have the patience, it'll literally turn the 10-minute job into a 20-minute job and possibly still not end up with a good bleed. And me, I like good bleeds. All right. Let's use some vacuum. Oh, there goes a small one. We're looking pretty good. Step 2 is nearly done. Let the bubbles go to the top, because we are nearly good over here. Again, you got to let the bubbles go to the top. That's the annoying thing. Oh, there goes a little micro bubble. Let's help that little guy up. Just flew in there. Okay. We don't want to put them back in, so press your plunger slowly. Pull this guy up. Okay. Whoop, there goes another little one. See what I mean? They're in there, man. The little ones are in there. It's all about getting them all out. Okay. Actually, I just sucked one in. That's why you got to do it slowly and make sure the bubbles go up. So be patient. Okay. There's another little one. Make sure this guy doesn't... It has a tendency to loosen, so just be careful that make sure this guy's tight, or else air will get in past that seal, which I'm pretty sure just happened. Okay. We are looking pretty good here. Oop, a little one there, real small one, but we got him out. Oop, and I think another small one right there. And we got him out. Boom. Like I said, we just want to get them all out, let them float to the top. See, there's a whole bunch of little ones floating right here right now. Just let them go to the top. Just let them do their thing and slowly push this guy in. Okay. We are about to go on to step 3. I knew I should have had the camera rest before I started step 3. So, step 3. Again, we have already cycled it multiple times and have seen zero air, right? Over 10 cycles, full cycles, squeezing, doing whatever we can, and we see zero air. So now what we're going to do for step 3, we're going to extend the shaft all the way down, right? You got to make sure it's all the way down. Then we're going to pressurize the bladder, right? And then we're going to let go, just like we did before. Now, prep your syringe, or at least your bleed screw. Take a piece of towel. We are going to remove the syringe. We're going to put in our bleed screw. Careful putting it in, right? Finger tight. Let's soak up any oil here. All right. just so we don't make too much of a mess. Now, what we're going to do is cycle about 15-20 times our shaft. Whole idea, we're trying to get any air that's stuck around the shim area, this whole area here, up to the top. Okay, then when you're done, bring it all the way up, and we have to leave it sit here for like quite a few minutes. We want all those bubbles to slowly make their way to the top over here so we can suck the last of the bubbles out, right? But I don't want to sit here and hold it, and if I didn't have a vise, it would be even harder. So grab a piece of cloth or a paper towel, make a square out of it basically, put it underneath, grab a rubber band, put it underneath the towel, should hold. And now we can let this sit here and let the air slowly make its way to the top for about, let's say, 3-5 minutes max. And we will be back to test it one last time. All right, our damper's been sitting here compressed for the last 5 minutes or so. Now we're going to take our rubber band, remove it, hold on to the shaft, slowly bring down the shaft. We do not want to bring down any air that might be up here, right? So just take your time and slowly bring him down till he bottoms out, okay? We want all air to be on top. There we go, he's bottomed out, right? So now we're going to open up our bleed port again. Done with those guys, unless we have to do this again. All right, we're going to put in our syringe. Now, push the shaft up. That bubble is, these bubbles are from just putting in the syringe. Most of them, I bet. Although that big one, believe it or not, might have been an accumulation of all the little bubbles that were here. That's quite possible, guys. Now, we keep on doing the same thing. And we check to see if we see any more bubbles. If we see more bubbles coming out regularly, then we have to repeat the process that we just did. Step 2 and step 3. Until you see no more bubbles. And I'm not seeing a thing. This is real clean. This is real clean. You're also listening for air here. And I don't hear a thing. Okay. I think we are real good. Real good. So, try one more time. Compress it. Bring it up. Okay. Extend the shaft all the way. Pressurize the system. Let it relax on its own. Prep your bleed screw again. Grab a piece of cloth or towel. Take out the bleed screw. There we go. That's a good sign right there. All filled. Put in the bleed screw. Remember, finger tight. Don't over tighten this thing. Absorb whatever oil you can over here. All right. Take them out. Okay. I hear, could you guys hear that? There's definitely air still in there. So I got to cycle it up and down again and get that air out. Yep. I definitely hear, there was air in there. Now I don't hear it anymore. But I'm going to open it up again and test it out again. Like I said, you want no signs of air whatsoever. All right, let me fill up my syringe and I'll be back. And I'm back. I put more oil in the syringe. Take out the bleed screw. There we go. Make sure I got no air in this thing. Good. Put it in the bleed hole. Screw it down. All the way, make sure your joints are tight. That bubbles from the bleed hole, or at least the syringe. Now let's see if we can suck out. There's a couple of small bubbles. See what I mean, guys? Doesn't take much. Now let all those little bubbles go to the top and repeat. And we're going to repeat and repeat. I bet you those little bubbles were it. Okay. Nope. Okay, we're not seeing anything again. Once again, extend them all the way down. Pressurize them. Let them go. Get your bleed port ready. Rag ready. Screw them. Put your bleed screw in. Cycle them 15 or so times, 15, 20 times. And then, once again, bring them all the way to the top. Grab our rubber band, let them sit there. Again, that's why I like doing it with the vise. Makes this a lot easier. Cool. I will be back in a few minutes. Okay, we've been sitting here for a few minutes. Once again, take off our rubber band, slowly allow them to extend so we don't suck any potential air. Slowly, slowly, all the way to the end, okay? So all the way at the end, take off our bleed screw. Put in our syringe. Make sure that the tip is filled with oil. Yep, we are good. Put them in there. Now, lift up. That's from the tip of the, most likely from putting the syringe in. And this time we are getting no bubbles whatsoever. Actually, a couple little super little micro bubbles. And since we don't like bubbles, put some extra effort over here to make sure. Yeah, he's good. All right. I'm pretty confident we are blood now. Yep, cool. Extend them all the way. Pressurize them. All right, let them go. Grab a piece of towel. Oil will pop out. There we go. Let them fill up. Put our bleed screw in. Okay, finger tight. Soak up any remaining oil. Pull them out. Test them. Oh, yeah. That sounds perfect. Silent. No squishy noises. We have no air in there, man. This thing's perfectly bled. Now we test them. So, in this case, for Raceday Damper, we take our knob. Remember, we were in the fully open position. The other way, fully locked. Now, this is a full lockout. He should fully lock. And this guy is not moving a millimeter. Now, if you do this after a bleed and you know you have no air and you put it in the lockout position and he starts sliding down, there is an O-ring in the shim stack. Basically, there's a lockout plate and an O-ring underneath the lockout plate. And basically, the O-ring burst. And it allows oil to slowly get through you can't fix that. You have to send that to RockShox. They don't send parts to fix these things. If you're under warranty, they will fix it. If you're not under warranty, then you're probably going to have to just get a new damper. Okay, so again, in the lockout position after a full bleed, if you find it's not locking out and it is slipping, because that's very common with these things, and it is slipping, that means your O-ring inside your shim stack assembly over here has burst and it's letting oil through. Okay. Now, what we want to do, clean as much oil from the top over here, okay, because that's exposed when it's on the bike, and we don't want oil or mud and dirt to get stuck to oil. It's going to be harder to clean it off, so just give it a couple of good squirts and make sure all the oil comes out. I mean, yeah, all the oil comes out. All right. We have a perfectly bled damper. Oh yeah, that feels great. That sounds great. And it locks out perfect. Outstanding. All we need to do next is put on the new O-ring and put it back into the upper part of the fork. We had one O-ring over here. We need to change that one. Clean the seat. For the replacement O-ring, since this was an RL and it came with a different damper, I'm going to grab the RLC1 kit and leave the other kits for maybe something else, basically, right? So just put a little dab of grease on them, just keep them fresh. Brought them up. Oh, what the? Oh, for the love. Tried to make my life easier, I just made it more difficult. Come on, dummy, get in there. Mind camera? Yes, I am. There we go. All right. So we got him. Screw him in by hand. Always by hand first. All right. There we go. Hands are slippery. Hands are too slippery. Oh. Come on. There we go. Open for the start. Then torque them down. .28 Newton meters. All right. Make sure you're straight. All right. 28.5. We got our screw, or at least our knob, 2 millimeter. So if memory serves me correct, he was pointing that way. We were able to access him finger tight. Do not over torque this guy. It's a set screw. He's just sitting in his little seat, finger tight. There we go. Our upper is completely done. Now for the rest of the 50-hour service. For starters, we're going to take our wipers. Let's take the springs off of them first so we don't forget them. Put them back. Now, remember we had our foam ring soaking. We're going to take them and we're going to put them in and make sure they are sitting flat. Make sure they're not twisted. These are skinny and they twist easy. All right, just like that. Make sure they're perfectly seated and they're not popping up. Then we're going to take our wiper. We're done with this guy for now. We'll use him in a bit. take our wiper, put a little bit of grease, too much grease, just a thin coat on the outsides. All right. Then we're going to take our tool, 35mm version, right? And there we go. One. And two. Now what we're going to do, since it's easy now, is clean any grease off the backside, so on our first few rides dirt doesn't get in there. It's easier to clean them now than it is later. Okay. Now I take a good amount of grease and I fill up the concave part. This concave in there, sort of roundish, I try and fill it up. Just like that. There we go. Just like that. Both sides. Might seem like a lot, but in all honesty, I don't know when this isn't my fork, and I have no idea when the next time it's going to get serviced. Hopefully, regularly. All right. Next, let's prep our bolts. To prep our bolts, we have crush washers. This guy is always the one that proves to be challenging. And this one seems like he's really crushed in there. In fact, I might have to get a smaller pick. Oh boy. Come on. Come on. Ooh, thought I had him. Come on. Oh, he's so close. I definitely got some meat. Oh, come on. There we go. All right. Oh, not all right yet. Come on. Get in between. There we go. Good. That's a good start now. This guy, he is going to be a stiff one to get out. It's always different with these things. Sometimes they come out easy. Other times they do not. And when they do not, that's when a needle nose plier comes in handy. Mind frame? Yes. Try and get the plier underneath them. Break them if you have to, really. Okay. Boy, this guy's really squished on there. Okay. There we go. Now we're getting him. Thank you. Get out of here. All right. Clean him up. Make sure the new crush washers are dry. Sometimes when they're in the bags, in the wiper bag, they stick onto the wiper because they pre-grease the wipers a little bit. You don't want grease on these things, right? You want a real tight connection between the fork and the bolt. And then this one just goes on the bottom over here. Ta-da! Now we put these guys on the side. Before we attach the upper to a lower, one, move the old sag ring, put in the new sag ring. Two, put in our springs for our wipers. Make sure they go all the way down. And in this case, we're going to put this on now. So this flat part, the open part, goes up. This flat part, or the concave part, goes up. The flat part stays down. All right. Now, try and get one side in. And then get the other side in. There we go. Oh, make sure you are not twisted. I need your body on this one. There we go. Nice and smooth. We like that smooth, and he's already touching the bottom. Cool. Let's deal with our rings. Might be able to get around. Oop. careful if you're using a pick. Don't touch your stanchions. There we go. That's one. Man, I can barely get my finger just a little bit. And that is two. Look at them all around. Now we fill them up with oil. To fill them up with oil, we want to make sure that we have separation between the shafts on the inside and the bottom of the boot, which I do. You can't see it here, but I do. Then we want to take a syringe, 10 milliliters. Fill her up. I'm going to use this extra oil that I had in here just for this purpose. 10 milliliters per side, 0W30 or Maxima Heavy. Get it in the hole, press down, let it all slowly sink in there. That is one side. Let's do the other side. Come on. There we go. 10 milliliters. Press this guy in. All right. Let him get to the other side, and then we close them together. And make sure both sides are touching. Both sides are touching. Now, you can't see this. This guy's touching, but he's a little bit offset, right? So what we need to do is go in there with a pick and just move him up a little bit. Or move him towards the center, just like that. All right. Next, we screw them down. Before we put the bolts in, make sure, go in there and make sure one last time that the surfaces are dry. We really want, because there's not much Newton meters on these things. We want any excess oil. We want a good connection, basically, is what it comes down to. All right. Okay. One more time, all the way to the end. Now, we need to crush them together until the damper side, the bolt head, the threads stick out. And this guy's touching, right? I don't know if you can see that clearly, but this guy's the important one, right? And he's going to be the harder one to get in, basically. So let's start with him. We're going to take, oops. We're going to take extension and our nut with a 10 millimeter socket. Again, compress him down until, yep, he's sticking out a solid centimeter. So let's go here and by hand, this soft metal, so make sure you do it by hand. It's very soft metal. All right. There we go. Where you got him. That's one side for now. Then we'll grab our bolt with our 5 millimeter Allen. We're going to drop them in just like that, so we could take them out just like I just did, and do it again. Again, these things are soft metals, not magnetic. Screw them in by hand. There we go. Be careful here. Don't force anything. Oops, I had them on the right way. Okay, that's one. Let's tie the other one down before we torque them. Okay, let's start off with torquing damper side 4 Newton meters. Oh, nearly there. There we go, 4.05. And then 6.8 for the air spring side. 6.5678. Make sure he's in there. There we go. 6.87. Camera had overheated just when I finished torquing the bolt down, so we are good there. Now I need to put in my rebound knob. Yours is going to look a little bit different, right? This is a Raceday. Make sure it snaps in. There we go. Snapped in. Then spray them down. Get any excess grease off of them so it doesn't stick onto them on our first ride, especially on the tubes, stanchions. And ta-da! There you have it, folks. We just finished servicing a RockShox SID Select RL fork with a Raceday Damper. Super easy job, guys. There's no reason anyone who owns this fork shouldn't regularly maintain it on their own. It's real quick, not much to it, very little tools needed. The 50 hour, absolutely on this guy. You guys want this thing to perform great, keep up with the 50-hour service and it will perform great for you. The one thing I will mention is make sure to keep the stanchions clean after your first few rides because excess grease will want to come out. Just wipe it off so too much dirt doesn't build up and make it hard for the wipers to do their job. All right, outside of that, well, put your settings back to where you had them when you started the job, put your air cap back on, and then you are ready to take it out on the trail and tear it up. All right, so until then, if you like the video, please click the like button, guys. Click the subscribe button in order to see more videos. Click the bell button, ding, in order to get reminded when new videos get released. All right. So, hope all is well with everyone, and we will be talking to you soon. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.